Mm-hmm.
Running intro in 5, 4.
Hi everyone, welcome to a very special edition of Hue at Home. Mental illness, it's in the news, it's around us. We know someone, a loved one, a family member, a friend that is going through some sort of mental illness, but not very often do you have a young, healthy, young person wanting to share his story. So I want to give a warm welcome to you, Charlie.
Tracy.
You know what? It takes a lot to talk about mental illness, even today, right? And I guess the hard part of it is that you look perfectly normal. You look like a healthy young man, but inside it's a whole different story.
Right, that's the thing, right? Like you don't know what people are going through unless they talk about it. So, hopefully what I'd like to do is just share my story. It's unique, and I think it would help some people. So.
Well, I know a lot of people. So let's start at the beginning. Young Charlie,
Right.
What were you like as a kid?
Pretty energetic. I was weird, like a weird child. So, I mean, I just remember being young and not fitting in, kind of just having a hard time socializing and making friends, keeping friends. But then I found golf kind of later. I think I was like 14 when I first started, and it was a great sport because you can do it alone. You can, you're kind of forced to socialize with other people, and it taught me a lot. So, I was made to play golf, I think. So,
yeah. And that kept you focused for a while.
Right, yeah.
And so talk about then the feelings that you had back then. You were talking about, I was weird. There's a lot of kids that don't fit in.
Right.
But what made it different in your experience?
I had like high anxiety. I think things made me nervous, and I brought a lot of nervous energy to social situations. So that's just me guessing. It's weird because there's this big thing about bullying and trying to, eradicate bullying from schools. I actually have a different opinion on that. I think it's useful in some situations, and I definitely was bullied, and I also did some bullying. Like it's kind of give and take, and when you're a kid in vulnerable situations, you're kind of learning to follow the herd, and I definitely knew that I had something going on, but I wasn't sure. So I was trying different things, and it's tough. But you know what? It did harden me a bit, and I think if you're looking at it in a positive way, I think there is some merit to that stuff. So I don't know, like again, like socially very awkward. I did have friends, but then I found out later maybe that they didn't think too highly of me or whatever, and it's tough because you just want to be liked, like you just want to like fit in. So when that's not the case, it's tough, but you persevere and
So you hit it for the most part.
Like, for the most part. I mean, definitely some depression. I had some behavioral issues and things that I'm not overly proud of, but I worked through that in recent years, and it made me kind of who I am now. So yeah, you don't dwell on it, you kind of just learn from it and move forward.
Okay, so you have been hiding this, you go through school. What was the breaking point when you knew that you needed to talk to somebody and you needed help?
Probably in university. I had a hard time in my third year, maybe second year. I was in there, and I was playing golf at the U of M, and I was taking a lot of psych courses. So I was exposed to a lot of stuff, and kind of started to click, like, oh, I definitely fit that narrative, whatever, and I actually wanted to stop playing golf. I was having a hard time in school, and just the golf wasn't going well, and I remember telling my coach Garth that I need to stop playing, and just tough it out, and I did, which I'm happy I did. But it was a tough time, and then I developed this weird little golf hitch. I'd flinch at the golf ball. It was brought from anxiety and a technical flaw, but they call it the yips. So I developed a pretty severe case of that, and but I was still playing pretty good, like locally and nationally. And then my dream was always to pursue a professional career, and I turned pro, and it just got worse and worse. And then in 2019, I was down in Guatemala. I was playing a tournament down there, and just like had a panic attack. I just couldn't pull the trigger, and I knew something was off. So I came home and addressed it, not properly, and then I actually had a psychotic break soon after. So that's kind of when I knew that things were a little bit more serious than I was aware of.
Now, I just want to stop there because golf is the ultimate mental sport.
Right.
Like it's easy even for the most mentally healthy people not to get into their heads in a sport like that.
Right.
What is it about that, or what was it about golf that you found a connection? And I know that there was definitely, obviously, a struggle.
Yeah, I think it's important to have like an emotional awareness when you play the game, especially competitively. You need, they call it flow state. That's a very addictive place to be, and when you can get in there, it's actually quite therapeutic. And I just like flowing. Like it's such a great way to release pent up energy, and it is very mental. Like if you can control your emotions and have a positive attitude, almost like a growth mindset, it kind of translates to other areas of your life. So I think that's why folks call it so mental, like because you're constantly trying to adapt.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had this psychotic break.
Right.
What happened next?
So I was smoking. I wasn't like I was like a casual weed smoker, and I actually never inhaled. I always kind of just put it to my mouth and tried to look
Blew it
cool.
out.
Yeah. And then one time I take a pretty deep inhale, and I actually passed out. And when I came to, everything was different. Just completely knew that I was just untethered, and I went to the hospital almost immediately. Like I hit my head, so I thought maybe my bell rung, which has happened a bunch of times. But yeah, I went there. They thought I was just too high. They didn't do anything. I actually went to the hospital 4 or 5 times in a week just because I was in a bad spot.
Right.
And each time they just turned me away. And it wasn't until I attempted to commit suicide that they admitted me. So it was, it was pretty intense. And I actually remember everything. Like it was very intense. Yeah.
There must have been confusion though too, and what was your mom doing in all of this too?
So she was there the whole time. Like I called her from the ER the first time I went. We went maybe 4 or 5 times, and then the morning it happened, I was in my room, and I heard like sirens and helicopters, and I just was looking around and I didn't see anything. So my first inclination was, they've bugged my house, and they're like the FBI is after me for something that I did. And then I was trying to think what I did. So you think of every bad thing that you did, and I mean, in hindsight, I did nothing. But at the time, you're what do you call it, catastrophizing or whatever. And I just thought they were coming to get me, so I tried to kill myself. And I was in like I don't know what you call it, the sewing room. There was like a sharp pair of scissors, and I just cut myself, and it was pretty bad. And my mom was there, and she drove me to the hospital, and I was admitted right away. They apologized for not
doing
taking
something
it like as seriously as it was. But everyone's heart was in the right place, and you can't control that. Like there's no you can't really justify what you're doing because you're not in control.
No.
So, I was admitted, and I spent 2 months in a psych ward at Victoria Hospital, and it was a wild time, right in the middle of summer, and I learned a lot, and I spent a lot of time with doctors and nurses, and yeah, it was pretty important part of the recovery was just learning a lot about that part of the life. So.
And then, did you get diagnosed? Was there an answer, a definitive answer?
Initially, they said it was depression, like psychotic depression, which, yeah, I was, there's no denying I was depressed, but my issue was that I had like pretty intense delusions. So I felt people were out to get me. I felt like I was being taught a lesson, which I still, I still believe that somebody was out trying to teach me a lesson. Wasn't until I was admitted to a program called EPIS, which is an early psychosis program, where they diagnosed me with schizophrenia. So psychotic symptoms took place from, let's say, June 2019 till basically last year. So if they last longer than 6 months, then you qualify for the diagnosis of schizophrenia. So that's why, like, I definitely at the time qualified, but I don't agree with that. I think it was a weed psychosis brought on from cannabis, and there was a predisposition to some sort of mental condition that I wasn't aware of, and yeah, I've kind of just been trying to remedy that for about 6 years now. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. So there are people though that did help you along
Oh,
the
absolutely.
way.
Yeah.
Psychiatrists, and especially one
Right.
that has his base or his experience in sports
Right.
psychology, sports performance.
So it's fun. It's ironic. My friend that I was with that night, he introduced me to him. He's a member at NACWA. His name's Morgan Marcoux, who I think he works with the Jets. He does adolescent psychology at HSC, and he was very helpful. I've seen him for maybe 2 or 3 years now. And where he differs, that he kind of didn't follow along. Like, he didn't really care what my diagnosis was. He was just treating the person, which is very useful. Once you get diagnosed with something, they kind of just look at it and they lump you in with basically anybody. So I had a very negative experience at HSC with my appointed psychiatrist. So I stopped taking my medication this past January, in March. And I was doing really well, but she kind of called me selfish. She said I was going to relapse and I was affecting others. So I said, well, I'm aware, like, there's a potential for that, but I'm doing really well. I'd like to keep going. And then in September, I was, months in and doing great, and she still didn't agree with it. So I just said, that's the last time I'm going to work with you.
Well, then this is interesting now, because yes, let's talk about the pills, because that had a big effect on you.
Right. Yeah, so I was in hospital. I was always a very thin person, and then I think I was 130 pounds when I was admitted. I didn't eat for like 2 weeks, and so I was just skin and bone, and then I started taking these antipsychotics, and I gained 80 pounds in the hospital. So I think it was like 75 in 2 months, all just fat, and I lost 40 this summer. I didn't change my lifestyle. I just stopped taking it. So my metabolism came back, and it really does affect you. Like, they say that you get hungry when you take these pills, and you kind of just eat your feelings. So that's where that comes from. And I remember I was eating quite a bit, but it's because I was underweight. So
or you could think that you could eat anything and not gain weight, right?
Yeah. It made food taste really good. I remember that, but the side effects were just nasty. I wouldn't recommend taking those pills if you had the choice. Yeah.
And let's talk about triggers now.
Right.
What do you have to avoid? And
yeah, I think it's just a lot of it's negativity. So if I am in a situation that brings on stress, or it brings on negative emotion, or it reminds me of things that I don't really like to think about, I just get out of there. So that's pretty useful, I think, for anybody, just trying to keep positive energy. And I remember being in a hospital and being very bothered by like the Batman logo. So if I ever saw that, I would just assume that they were after me or whatever. And it was super weird. But anytime I see the Batman logo, I kind of just be like, huh, it's interesting. So not anymore. Like, I haven't had psychotic symptoms for maybe 6-7 months now. And Yeah, so the triggers, it's more just avoiding cannabis. Like I
Yeah.
smoked it once and
Never
never
again.
again. Never again.
No.
No.
Wow. So, January of this year, 2025, you started back into golf.
Yeah, so I've actually played, I took about 5 or 6 months off when this was happening, and then I started playing more for therapeutic reasons, just get outside and do something. You know, I started playing better. So last year I played a little bit, and then this year I became a full-time player again, which was
And
great.
how's that going?
You know, the results weren't quite there, but my, you know, I saw a lot of signs of life, and I'm pretty encouraged. So, yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting back into it. So in January of this year, I'll be back at it.
And you don't get depressed about
Well,
not doing well, not
no,
making
like,
the cut?
no, like obviously results, you can't really control those. You can only control
Yeah.
your effort, and I put in a pretty solid effort, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say like focusing on controllables, things that are like in your power, like that's the key. So like, you know, if I can't control something, I don't give it a whole lot of energy or attention. So it kind of frees you up. So I'm,
And you can move on.
yeah,
Instead
just,
of sitting there and dwelling about it and
yeah,
trying to figure it out.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty much trying to keep your life stress free.
Right. Well, that's impossible. Like
I know.
you need,
I know.
you
You
need
need
to have
stress.
some stress. 'Cause it's
Yes.
actually like a pretty powerful emotion. Like I think the psychology of stress is like, it goes back to like when you're a caveman, you see like a tiger chasing you, and it's like a warning. So it's good to have that. Like I'm a big fan of Alex Honnold. He's like the free solo guy that like does climbing and doesn't use ropes. So everyone's like, oh, he doesn't feel anything. Well, no, he's just very prepared, and he works really hard and just is very sure of himself. And I try to implement that into almost every area of my life. Just make sure I'm ready.
You're ready.
Yeah.
And you conquer your own fears.
Right.
So how much fear is there, Charlie, that you
Yeah.
might have another psychotic break or
Yeah, it's
a
pretty.
relapse?
I mean, it's pretty. Like it's not certainty. Like I don't think it'll happen. If it does happen, I'll be ready. Like I can recognize when things aren't good. It's weird because in the media and all this, like there's actually a big. It's like a fad. Like people are going down to Costa Rica or whatever to take ayahuasca, and what that does is it simulates psychosis, and a lot of people have profound moments of their life, like they're kind of keeping things in the subconscious and it comes to the forefront. So that's actually what psychosis did for me, is I had a lot of shit and I kind of just was forced to deal with it. And then you know, I there is something to that where you know, a part of me is like, maybe if I go through that again I'll figure something new, but
Right?
it is dangerous. Like I almost died, and
No.
I hurt a lot of people in my corner, so I don't want to do that.
And
But,
that's part of it too, right?
Right.
Is all the people that, you know, that
Right.
we're trying to help.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I'm so lucky. Like I have such a supportive mom. Like she loves that I'm pursuing golf and will never tell me to stop chasing. So she's provided, you know, a roof over my head my entire life and is easily my biggest support. I have a very good friend of mine who's also a sponsor who visited me in hospital and is always, you know, he's just been such a mentor to me, and you know, I try to carry myself in that manner, try to do what he would do. And you know, there's so many folks that are sponsoring me who are allowing me to just chase a dream, and it's very important that I give it a proper go, because
So
Yeah.
if you think back to the Charlie in, you know, before 2019, or you know, when you
Right.
first turned pro in 2016,
right.
to the Charlie that you are now, and you're talking about the people around you, your sponsors, and how you consider them as mentors now. Obviously, there are things that have changed inside of you.
Right.
So, can you explain how you look at these people now, as opposed to maybe how you looked at them 10 years ago?
Well, I'm going to name a few names. Like there are guys that are are fixtures, and so David Johnston of Johnston Group. That family has just been incredible to me, and Maddie is the best. I consider him one of my best friends, and yeah, they truly kept me going. Like, I was very depressed and wanted to die, and they kind of lent a hand out and walked me through it. Like, I remember during COVID, Dave and Diane were traveling, but they wanted to make sure that I would go to the house just to pick up their paper. So they were paying me to like pick up their paper and just put it in their house. Like, anybody could have done that, but they just gave me something to do, and it was very important. Maddie, I talk to him maybe once a week, and we just, try to solve world problems and figure out like where we're gonna go. And he's taught me so much about just like being a man and carrying yourself with like respect for yourself and others and compassion. Like, he's the man. So those two they'll always be in my corner. I'm very grateful to them. There's an Aqua member named Carl Lepp, runs P3. He's sponsoring a good friend of mine, Aaron, and then he found out that I was looking for some sponsorship a few years ago, and he's been very helpful. I try to have a beer with him every now and then, and yeah, he's a very kind person.
So it sounds like you do have a good support group.
Yeah, and people who are just elite, like very good at what they do. So it's important to surround yourself with like good energy and people who are, good. Like, Maddie always says you're the accumulation of you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So like, if you look at the 5 people you spend a lot of time with, you are the average. So I try to, you don't really have a choice, but I try to surround myself with people who are just kind people who are doing good things, and just try to draft off that. So
Okay, so it's interesting now. You seem to be like in a really good place, but it's hard, right? It's work every day for you. What would you say to, and this is the reason why we're talking right now, what would you say to that younger Charlie, the 17, 18-year-old that, maybe it's not golf, maybe it's hockey, it could be football, or any sport.
Right.
But dealing with something.
Something, right? Like, it's just telling them that like it's okay. Like, there's a reason you feel the way you do. Sure, people have chemical imbalances and are naturally going to feel more depressed than others, but in my case, it was always like there's a reason I felt depressed. There's a reason why I felt anxious. So it's like, just try to figure that out, and maybe focus on your fundamentals like exercise, diet, socializing. Just
you
things.
Talk about mindset when you were talking before.
Right.
What does that mean to you?
So I'm not like a huge self-improvement book person, but there was one book that I read is called Mindset by Carol Dweck, and they should teach this in the school. Like, it's about growth mindset and fixed mindset. So for my entire life up until about maybe 2022, I had a fixed mindset. I just thought things were set in stone and I couldn't change things. But if you have that growth mindset where you just learn from stuff that doesn't necessarily go your way, you can grow and you can just keep improving. So, and it's actually cool because it dives into like parenting as well. So like, if I was to have a kid, I would try to implement that growth mindset just to like get them to, be able to grow.
Well,
so
that's interesting. Parenting.
Right.
You would like to have kids.
I think so. I think it's like a pretty integral part of the human experience. I don't know, like,
but you're here.
Yeah. So I think I would be pretty good at sharing kind of how to go through life.
And would you share your experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's, it's part of the story, right? Like, and you learn from it. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so life is good for you right now, Charlie?
Yeah, right now it's pretty good. I actually just was hospitalized with some pneumonia. So that wasn't ideal.
No.
I had like a pretty bad fever, and I've had a cough for like 5 months. So like, I didn't know where that came from. I thought it was just the smoke from the forest fires earlier this year, and I'm outside 12 hours a day. So maybe it's that. But yeah, it was pneumonia. So they gave me some pills and feeling a bit better. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out where I'm gonna go. Like, I don't have any status. I don't really have a plan other than I'm just gonna try to get better every day. So,
And no drugs.
no drugs. I don't. I mean, I do drink. I think.
Well, you
Yeah.
can have one vice, but you
Yeah.
probably know your limit on that.
Yeah,
too.
I don't. And you know what? I actually don't. When I was younger, I was like a lightweight. I would have maybe 2 beers and I would just be gone. And now, like, I just don't. I actually get very mellow and don't like way better conversations if I have like 15 drinks. So like, I mean, it's not healthy, but you know,
No.
it's important for my mental health to feel good, and
Yeah.
it makes me feel good. So I'm not really looking to quit that, but yeah, you got to know your limits, and I think I do. I won't touch cannabis. Like
No.
that's
No.
just not good. So
No.
yeah.
But it's been a real journey, and I
Mhm.
know that your story probably resonates with so many people.
Yeah.
And I guess just words of wisdom. I know we did that already, sort of for young people, but words of wisdom I get from a person that is living with mental illness, because there is no cure.
Right.
There is no cure.
Right.
For the rest of us, how can we be more, open?
Yeah. It's just having like a close support system. I think talking about it is good. That being said, I'm not an expert. Like, I've had a few people come and say like I'm struggling as well, and it's like, yeah, I've been through that, and I know you're hurting. I don't know what to do. They don't actually. The experts don't even know. It's trial and error, right? So try to get somebody who you trust to provide some advisement. Medication is, it's great. I wish I had a different experience with medication, but mine was pretty negative. So there's nothing wrong with having to take pills. I think, if it makes you a better person, yeah, go for it. I have an opinion on like the psychological, whatever you call it, the system. It's a shame that the people with the compassion and the nurses and the support workers, the social workers, they're kind of limited to what they can do based on schooling, and the doctors, they're the ones who test really well and they've put all the years in, but a lot of the time they're kind of just doing it for the money. So it's tough. Like, if you can find a good doctor, I think that's key, and I'm very lucky that I've got a good group of people in my corner. So yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for this conversation
Right.
and sharing your story, and so happy that you're on the right track so far. And it's a long journey, and no one knows where it's going to, how it's going to end, but it's a happy one, right?
Well, thanks for giving me the platform. It is important. Like, dudes kind of don't talk about stuff.
No?
And like, to be a man, you kind of think you need to just tough it out, which there is some truth to that. But yeah, like, just talking is good. And I think the opportunity to talk is pretty important. And any chance I get to talk about myself, I feel pretty good about it. So
Okay,
I appreciate you having me.
Next time we're going to see you on the PGA Tour or whatever, and
I hope so,
winning
yeah.
a tournament
Yeah.
and holding up the trophy, and
All right.
everything's come full circle.
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy.
Yes. Thanks so much. And we'll see you next time on Hue.
How was that?